and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Kellie de Leon with Treasure Data, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDOIQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Danielle Crop, Chief Data Officer at Albertsons Companies. Welcome, Danielle.
It's good to be here, Kellie. Thanks for having me.
I'm wondering if in your role, you are playing a part in making the entire business more data-driven. Do you have a role to play, in terms of, data literacy and some of those kinds of things?
Absolutely. So it's really, that's one of the goals that we had, and one of the reasons why I was hired, was to make the organization have data more, inculcated into everyday work. And we've made significant strides in that, right? So just some capabilities that we've built around, really federating the ability for people to access data and the data that they need and the capabilities that they have, has been a huge, goal for us. And we've built some great tools to enable the rest of the organization to not only get the business insights that they need, but also once they get into that business insights, the next step is, okay, they usually have more questions, right? So how do we then enable them to ask those questions on their own and get the answer without having to engage a data or analytics person or a data scientist, right? And we've, put some great tools in place that allow them to ask those questions and get those answers. So once they see the BI and they go, oh, well, now my questions are X, Y, and Z, they can go get those answers in the tools that we are providing them. So really that's as much as possible, that self-service, based on a grounding of really well, organized and structured data.
And that's the two go hand in hand, right? It's about getting the data into tools, that the business users can use, but then also do they have the sort of data literacy to work with what they have, or, are they able to ask those questions, and answer them on their own? How do you continue to arm them with the access that they need, as well as the understanding that they need? Both certainly go hand in hand. I'm curious, in your role from where you sit, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a data leader in your organization, trying to help meet those demands of business end users who want that access, who want self-service, who want to be able to make, more decisions on their own? What are some of the challenges that you face in meeting the demands of those business users?
I think that I've been privileged in that my challenge has been as a new chief data officer in this organization, right? Because this organization, the data office, did not exist at Albertsons prior to my joining. Right, has been just the demand, right? The demand and the want for these, right? Like it's the organization is very hungry for this, which creates a challenge in that we're just building this organization, right? So we're building this organization from scratch, basically. And we've been very successful in doing that. In fact, we've been, ranked as one of the top 25 in retail and growing our data science organization. And so thank you. And so we're doing some really great work on that. But it's just the appetite is super high. So managing the priorities across the organization, with the demand being super high and the supply of data professionals being, as always, in demand, right? And hiring those great talent. That's been the biggest challenge for me in the 15 months that I've been at Albertsons.
Wow, that's I hear that a lot, and that's surprising. I think definitely, if people are looking for what advice to give folks entering college about what they might want to do for a good job track, it's definitely around data science. Plenty of opportunity there for sure. I wonder if you could share, are there a few, successes that you've been able to bring to bear in your time? You were just mentioning really the strides that you are making as a company towards this data practice. Are there any examples that you can share, about some of your biggest successes or wins that you are really, proud to have pulled off so far?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the growth of the team, of course, is the number one to me. Like the creating it and growing it has been an amazing success. The other aspects are just the value that the team is driving. We've been able to create an ROI around each data scientist, and even at this early stage of the game, each data science is contributing $2 million annually in return on investment to the organization. And I think that's only going to get better as time goes on, and we make our systems and capabilities more ready for our data scientists to deliver value, right? Like it's right now, it takes quite a long time to get an ML model into production. And as we make that time shorter, we're going to add even more value. So I think that that's a huge win, as well as just really capitalizing on the value of the data that Albertsons has. I mean, it's the type of data that Albertsons has is incredibly powerful. Between the type of customer data that we have, I mean, think about how many businesses actually get a customer interaction 1, 2, 3 times a week.
Right.
Like not very many businesses have that type of engagement with their customers and are able to, kind of glean the type of insights that we have. Across both customer and what they're buying, and where they're buying it and what they're buying it on. All of those things add to an incredibly powerful set of data that we can use to customize experiences. We've been working very closely with our shopper experience team, as mentioned earlier, to deliver some really great features. And we've gotten some amazing feedback from our customers on the evolution of our app, right? And our web and mobile environments, and data is driving a significant portion of that value. So the models that the data scientists are creating are really enabling a better experience for our customers. So and therefore more sales. So fantastic results on that. And then just also on the other side of the, we also work on the supply chain and the operation sides of things as well. So the automation opportunities are very high, and we've been able to really help with reducing out of stocks on our shelves by using data science there as well. And so that's been both by partnering with our CPG partners on that and sharing data, as well as using algorithms to help us to ensure that the right supply is going to the right stores for the right customers. And there's just a massive amount of continual opportunity in that space. So we're really excited to start working on that, have some great results so far. And I think it's just scratching the surface.
That's so exciting to kind of hear how you're putting all of that data to use. I think, sometimes when people think about using customer data for the customer experience, they think about it more like, what's happening in the mobile app, or what personalization we might be doing. And certainly all of those things play in, but it was exciting to me to hear about how you're using data also to think about supply chain and all of that demand, and not wanting to have, the empty shelf of, whatever they're wanting at the time. Because that's certainly another part of customer experience is, can they ultimately find whatever it is that they're wanting in store at that time. So that's really interesting. Is there any kind of new avenue that you're seeing in terms of how data is being used to connect with customers, drive customer experience?
It's a continual evolution, right? But I would say that for us, I think the next evolution is really the location-based, right, opportunities that we have between our app and the store, right? So I think that that's really where the next evolution of where we need to get with data is that there's just so much opportunity to understand that this person is in the store with this phone, if they so choose to give us that information, right? We're privacy compliant. But there's so much we can do with that. So for example, we can, really help people when they're shopping in a way that I think is revolutionary, which is things like, we know you bought an onion the last time you were in the store, and that was 2 days ago, right? And we can tell you so we can, as you're in the produce aisle, we know you're in the produce aisle, and we can push to you like what you may or may not need based on what you previously bought. And I think that those types of opportunities are there as 5G and other things evolve, right? It's like you can do it, but it can be very difficult at this moment in time between SDK and Wi-Fi and server, right? Like it can just be clunky at this moment in time. And I think that as the technology evolves, it'll become much less clunky, and we'll be able to do a lot more to support the shopping experience of a customer in store than what we can currently do today.
Such a shift, I'm sure, just in terms of where the data is coming from. I did kind of want to ask, just in terms of the grocery industry, is sort of the point of sale and what the actual transaction and purchase is that kind of the one of the most valuable customer data touch points still, or are there kind of some other surprising things that we might not have thought about in terms of where some of the data that you're using comes from in terms of trying to improve that customer experience?
I think what would probably be surprising for the audience is that a significant portion of the customer experience is actually dependent. Well, actually, at this moment in time, maybe it's not so much of a surprise, but it comes through supply chain.
Yeah.
Right. So really making sure that, one of my colleagues just the other day said like shelf health, which I love that. I love that term, shelf health. Right. So making sure we have good shelf health, right, for the organization, because if it's not on the shelf, right, whether it's a micro fulfillment center or whether it's an actual store, like so digital or in store, either one. If it's not on the shelf, there's nothing to deliver to the customer. And so I think that is something that, my team is really passionate about, is like, how do we actually make sure that we have the right products and assortment in the right stores for the right customers. And that's an amazing opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I have so enjoyed talking with you and hearing your perspective and all of the exciting things that you're doing to drive customer experience and obviously, influence the value that customers get out of their interactions with Albertsons Companies, but also how you're driving that data value and business value within the organization as well. It's been really interesting to gain your perspective. So thank you, Danielle, for joining me.
You're welcome, Kelly. It's been a pleasure.
Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.